Welcome to another very ominous sounding park, Badlands.
And very windy too. But with all the beautiful colors and amazing rock formations, don't be scared by the name.
Step back in time with us through millions of years of erosion to learn how this incredible landscape was formed. Welcome to 51 Parks with the Newstates. We're Howard and Caitlin, and we're on a mission to visit all the U.S. national parks in the lower 48 in our Winnebago RV. Each week we're sharing where to stay, what to do, and introducing you to the people doing incredible work across our national parks. Well, we made it to our campsite for the next couple of days, and it is incredibly hot here right now. I think the entire country is under what they've been calling a heat dome, and so that left us kind of scrambling, trying to find a campground that had hookups. If you've heard of the Wall in South Dakota, that is right outside the north entrance of Badlands National Park, and that is an epic boondocking spot that we were hoping to finally experience and check off of our RV bucket list. But with this kind of weather, it's not possible, especially with the dogs. So we found a campground that's only a couple minutes outside of the park, and we're gonna get nice and set up and then head out to explore. Badlands National Park, located in South Dakota, is one of the most geologically fascinating places in the country. Its ever-changing landscape is continually shifting and eroding. Its intriguing name draws curious visitors to explore and see what this bad land is all about. There is a north and south unit of the park, but most people spend their time here in the north, driving the Badlands Loop Road, looking for wildlife, visiting the fossil lab, attending ranger programs, and more. And today's episode will be focused on the north unit of the park. So about that name, it dates back hundreds of years. The indigenous Lakota people literally called this a name that translates to bad lands. Later, French fur trappers recorded that these were bad lands to travel across. So even though this area has been referred to as Badlands for hundreds of years, can you believe it was actually suggested to call the national park Wonderland? We think Badlands fits much better.
And like we've done at so many other national parks, we're using an audio guide. This one is from Guide Along, which used to be called Gypsy Guides, and this is probably our favorite. We love the comedy of this one, and they have a lot of different packs. So I bought a pack that includes, I think, all of the Western national parks, and this particular tour is not just Badlands, but also includes Mount Rushmore and the Black Hills. This is like an interpretive boardwalk. I think it's called the Fossil Trail, but from what I understand, there are no fossils on this trail. So let's read some placards and figure out why we're on this trail.
The sign is reminding me of a recent visit and ranger program.
Yes. As we learned at Arches, you either adapt, you move,
or you die.
Very interesting fact about Badlands National Park is that there have never been any dinosaur fossils here, which kind of blew my mind. We learned that from our audio guide. Would you have guessed that, Howard?
No, it sounds like it's all prehistoric, like mammals. Saber-toothed tigers and things like that. In fact, the audio guide was telling us about how a 7-year-old once discovered a piece of a saber-toothed tiger.
Can you imagine how cool of a national park visit that was for her and her family? Incredible.
I think this trail is all about the types of fossils that you can discover here. Like this one, the ammonite, falls under the category of die.
So when there's a drought, right? It can't move.
Yep.
So
as the sea receded, the ammonites died.
Yes. Poor ammonites.
Sorry, ammonite. Fingers crossed these actually made it.
Ooh,
move.
There we go.
The alligator. Alligator, really?
Yeah, see you later, alligator. They got legs. This is a great little stop, regardless of if you're into ancient fossil history or not, because it's an elevated boardwalk that takes you through the amazing rock formations. And it is 7 o'clock right now. The sun is getting low, and it's just so beautiful. Because it was so hot today, I think at one point the temperature read 108 degrees. We waited for the sun to get much lower, and it's actually manageable right now. So from a temperature standpoint, hot tip or cool tip, make sure you wait until later in the day to go out and explore.
Is this your favorite?
Yeah, I found the dogs, of course. So luckily they adapted, and this talks about the dog lineage and how it evolved over time, and they grew longer and stronger legs, a shorter tail, because they evolved into the wolf. So that is pretty cool, and you can see all the different types. And then we've got our domesticated lineage line right here. They're very cute, of course. So this is the start of the Castle Trail. I believe it's the longest here in the park, and when I was doing research on what we wanted to do and when I saw the temperatures, I was like, okay, that is out. You can actually hike all the way across over to like the windows area, and it is completely exposed, but you are hiking through the incredible rock formation. So if you're here at a cooler time and you have the time and stamina to do it, this would be very cool. It's also backcountry, so I do believe you need a permit for it. White River Valley Overlook is a great stop because you can walk just a few feet right off the parking lot and you get amazing views of all of the rocks, and you can really see the layers dating back millions of years. All right, we're hopping back in the car and continuing on because we are trying to catch some prairie dogs. We are headed to one of the largest prairie dog towns that's accessible here in the park that's not in the wilderness areas. They're apparently most active around dusk, so fingers crossed that we can actually see little prairie dogs. I'm so excited. We're here, and I've already seen some. Oh. I can hear them. They're squeaky. There's so many.
What did you learn about the sounds?
Prairie dogs are very sophisticated animals, and it's fascinating because they're constantly communicating with each other, and so they'll make different sounds if there are predators approaching, and with their tunnel system they have an impressive network underground, and so all of the prairie dogs that are underground can actually hear all of the noises that are going on up top. So for example, if a coyote is approaching, a coyote is a predator that can dig, so they'll actually all pop their heads up and see where the coyote is going to dig and then go to a different area. And they make different noises depending on the type of predator, which direction it's coming from, and how many predators there are. Again, so sophisticated. We also learned that they do a type of greeting kiss, and scientists aren't really sure like why they do it. It's not really for affection or like romantic or anything like that, but they think it's because of the social aspect of the prairie dogs. They're doing it to strengthen that bond and just reinforce that. I could just watch them for hours. They're so darn cute. But as cute as they are, it is very important not to touch them, not to feed them, obviously, with any wildlife, but especially these guys, because some colonies have fleas that carry the bubonic plague. Yeah, that deadly plague that killed a lot of people. So just don't touch them. Just admire them from afar.
This is actually my third park this year. So I've been here for 2 months and 1 week. And everything you hear, I've learned in 2 months and 1 week. If you live and work in the Badlands, you instantly become an expert on geology and paleontology, and people ask you what your degree is because they think you're a paleontologist. But actually, we're just quick learners. And you're gonna be a quick learner today because it is not complicated stuff. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick look around us. Now you have to imagine, look at these peaks over here. See all these high peaks, all these high jutting peaks all around us. Imagine just drawing a straight line connecting all of them horizontally, just going around, around you. And then imagine that everything above your head right now until that line is rock. And that's what the Badlands looked like 28 million years ago. It was flat plains. Sedimentary rock is really soft. So the fact that there was all this dirt above us, connecting all these hills and saying all this dirt straight above our heads was gone in 500,000 years is extremely fast geologically. So the Badlands erodes, we say on average, at 1 inch a year. In some places it's 5 feet a year. So that's why this is an open hike park. The footsteps you leave today will be gone shortly. In 1 million years, the Badlands will be created and be gone. That is a blink of an eye in geologic time. I want you to look at this line going through the rock right now. See it? Ready? It's called a clastic dike. So what clastic dikes do in the Badlands is they help preserve them. You can see without that clastic dike there, the erosion would be quicker. So imagine clastic dikes like your rib cage. Your rib cage protects your heart and your lungs. The clastic dikes protect the Badlands. Without them, the Badlands would erode even more quickly, and they're all over the park. I can look around and see them everywhere I look because I know what to look for. Without these, you know, that 500,000 years, 500,000 years, it'd be less. The road to Cedar Pass, everyone drove up that big hill right there, right? That is probably the single biggest budgetary item in our maintenance budget. This weight shifts all the time. it causes pressure through the ground to move, and that road moves. It collapses.
We just finished doing one of our favorite things, which is a ranger walk, and you learn so much about the area around you that you would never know from just simply walking around. Volunteer Ranger Mark was excellent and so knowledgeable about things like this rock here. They call this, I think, wormhole rock, but it's not actually caused by worms. That was a common belief because they figured this was dirt, and so the holes must have been from the worms. But Mark actually brought up the idea that maybe it's actually from roots, and that ancient roots, when they died off, well, they kind of sucked up the water, which hardened the soil around it, and that's what actually caused this effect. Just look at it, it's so cool.
In the summer months, they offer the ranger walks at the Door Trail every morning at 8:30 a.m. And that's a great elevated boardwalk trail that brings you out, and then you get amazing views out over the Badlands. And we learned that you can just hike wherever you want here in the Badlands because, as Mark said, you could never do as much damage as the erosion is already doing. Well, this parking lot is very convenient because there are 4 trailheads here. There's 2 really short boardwalk trails, 1 moderate hike with ladders, and then the trailhead for the longest hike in the park. So there is a wide variety of trails right here.
Ranger Mark warned us about that the boardwalks are the highest likelihood of coming in contact with a rattlesnake because that's where they hide underneath from the midday sun. But think about that for a second. As long as you're not going underneath the boardwalk, probably okay.
Oh, wow. Make sure you do both the door and the window trails. They are short boardwalk trails, but you're getting different views of all the rock formations. On the door, you're a bit lower, and then you can walk out and through them. And here at the window, we're high above it, so we can see all of the peaks and valleys.
Okay, this is our first ladder. And this is not like something we've ever done before, Caitlin.
I know, that's why I was excited.
It's like a step ladder.
You know, at the fair when you have to try to like balance on those, that's what it reminds me of.
Oh yeah, that's a great way of putting it. But yeah, you just take your time. You're in no rush. Always just wait for people to, clear the ladder and start going up.
Oh boy. Yeah, this I don't think will be as scary for me as bandolier because you're kind of like laying on the ground, right?
Oh, bandolier. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was intense.
Bandolier had, what, 3 of those ladders?
Yeah, and they were tall.
Yeah.
Really tall.
It's not very steep. It's almost like you could kind of scurry your way up if the ladders weren't there. You got it, Caitlin.
Nailed it.
One-handed.
Wow.
Yeah. Careful of that drop off. The effects of erosion. They had to create a new trail because it just keeps washing down. That's the Badlands.
Constantly eroding away.
So we've talked before about alternative trail markers when they don't have the ability to actually put a trail sign. In this park, they use these white poles. They're poles with white on the top to indicate. Some parks use cairns, which are like rocks that are piled up. That's what indicates that that is the trail.
Wow, you can see why it's called the Notch Trail. It's beautiful. This is a great trail to come up and get kind of a bird's eye view out over the juniper forest, which is very unique for this area, as well as the road that Mark was talking about that they have a huge budget for fixing constantly because the land is always shifting. You can even see the visitor center, and I can see the campground where we're staying. It is tough, but it's not too hard, and I think right now the biggest thing we're feeling is the heat. It's 10:30 in the morning and it's already about 100 degrees out. So if it wasn't that hot, it wouldn't be as tough. You guys know that I'm afraid of heights, but that ladder was not that bad. It's kind of on a very gradual uphill, so you can just walk until the very end and then climb straight up. I am a little nervous about going back down, but overall, smooth sailing. Oh my goodness. Going down was definitely scarier. And because of the heat, the wooden beams are so hot right now. Did you feel that?
I did.
Whew. My knees. That was fun though. I'm glad we did it. All right, we need to go take a break from this heat. We opted to beat the heat at the visitor center, where we got our stamp, magnet, and sticker, and also visited the amazing fossil preparation lab, where you can watch paleontologists in action, carefully removing rock from ancient fossils that were found right here in the park.
This is the cheekbone right here, and this is where the eye would be.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. This was found in the park?
Yep, this was found by a visitor off Castle Trail.
Here's the little 7-year-old girl who found this saber tooth that we were talking about. They have an entire wall of people who have found fossils here in Badlands. If you do visit the park between June and September when the lab is open to the public, make sure you stop in. Adjacent to the visitor center is Cedar Pass Lodge, which has a shop and restaurant. We were able to grab a delicious bite to eat, including a Navajo taco made with Indian fry bread. The restaurant is quick service, and it's a great option to refuel before heading back out to explore. Once the heat subsided, we headed back out on a special mission. Earlier in the day, Volunteer Ranger Mark had given us some intel that there are actually arches here in Badlands.
The ravine is actually right before that.
Okay,
it's a tight ravine.
So he drew us a little map and described where to find them. It does take a bit of effort and knowing where to look, but sure enough, after about a 20-minute walk from the road...
Aha! Look at that!
It's a perfect arch!
An arch in the Badlands.
It's so funny, it looks like much more ominous than the arches in Arches, right? You know, if you're in a Disney movie or like a Marvel movie or something and you go to like the different planets and you've got like the bright, like nice feeling, colorful planet, and then you've got like the desolate planet, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what this looks like.
So this is the desolate planet?
Yeah. It's the Badlands. Considering we now know how much this land is constantly shifting and eroding, I don't think this arch has much time left. When I come under it and I look up, there's just a very thin section left at the top, so I'm really glad we got to see it. On our next episode, we're off to Colorado's most popular national park, Rocky Mountain. We're sharing beautiful drives, beautiful hikes, and beautiful animals. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.